So what's going on, y'all? What y'all been doing since the last session? And who wants to jump in first?
I do the last session.
Um, Not just chilling, work, trying to read some comics here and there and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, pretty much just work, man. It's just tired, throw out my shoulder a little bit, but that's just old age.
It is. Victor called me this morning at 8, or I called Victor this morning at 8:00, and I think I sighed or I yawned heavily, and he was like, "That was a heavy." I think it was a yawn. He was like, "That was a heavy yawn." I'm like, "Yeah, because I haven't gotten out of bed yet. I was still in the bed for like a good half hour before I even called Victor." I told him, I was like, "I'm trying to get myself together to get up."
To the average ear, it would have sounded like, "Oh." To me, it was like, "Life is bullshit, and I need to go do something." That's what
it was a dramatic yawn without trying to be dramatic. It was like my body was like, yeah. But yeah, I've been like Carlos, been reading some books. I shared with you all last week that I read Sins of Sinister #1. I actually really enjoyed the story. It's pretty solid. Some of it kind of was lost on me because I've not been keeping up with the X-Men's Krakoa era as much as I did in the very beginning. But I thought it was a solid start to this forthcoming storyline. Conversely, I've also been reading, because I tend to skew towards Marvel, but I've been reading this terrible storyline called Dark Web, which is a crossover between Spider-Man and the X-Men. Huh?
The straight no from Los.
Oh no, it's terrible. It's awful.
Yeah.
There was it started out with a solid issue, which was Dark Web #1, and I enjoyed that issue and the artwork, and it's just been all over the place. The Spider-Man components of it have been shitty, and the X-Men miniseries of Dark Web it wrapped up too nicely for me. Yeah, and like you go from like homicidal, megalomaniacal villain in the Goblin Queen to now she's like, "Oh, you really love me, Jean." I'm like, what the fuck? In the span of like one issue. That's when funny. She could have done all of that without having to try to like kill people and open portals to New York from Limbo. Like what? Anyway.
I was gonna say, is the Goblin Queen the lady that a few months ago everyone dropped all those dollars on and flopped?
Mm-hmm.
Speculators, stop speculating.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. It went hard.
Because she they brought her back. She's always been viewed as like a martyr character because of how she was treated in the comics, right? Like she was the way they treated her leading up to her death in Inferno in the 80s. And, she was really like no writers would touch her because they really didn't care for her except for Chris Claremont. Yeah. And when they brought her back, I think a year or so ago, that was met with a lot of fanfare. And then, I told you about her storyline in New Mutants when she became Queen of Limbo, when Magic abdicated her throne. And so I think it was like, oh, okay, Marvel must be headed in some direction with her. But now with Dark Web concluding, it's like, okay, she made quasi peace with Jean. Yeah. I don't know that Marvel even knows what to do with her now. I think it just seems like she's just kind of like brought back to, I don't even know. So that miniseries, that storyline is shitty. I'm at this point, I'm reading it because I've read the other ones. I'm just going to read it to the very end. The Dark Web finale comes out, I think this week or next week. I think this week. So I'll pick that up just to see how it all fucking ends. But it's been piss poor. I would not recommend it. Plus, they also did Ben Reilly, Spider-Man's clone, dirty.
They did him dirty.
They fucked it was like maybe like
they do all clones dirty.
So that was the premise of this storyline, is that Madeline Pryor is a clone of Jean Grey, Ben Reilly is a clone of Spider-Man. They bonded over their similarities in being rejects. Madeline Pryor had gained power and dominion over an entire hell dimension, Limbo, and she used that as a means of like conspiring with Ben Reilly, which led to this like second Inferno event in New York City. And it's just been all over the place. And I think of the two of them, Ben Reilly definitely got the shittier end of the stick, where Madeline Pryor is now like the X-Men forgave her in the span of one issue, and Ben is like this like psycho villain. Like it's just butt. It's a complete destruction of his character.
Yeah, that's what I heard. A lot of people saying that they didn't like how they did him. They did him dirty. He deserved better than that. A lot of people, love that character, and they basically just turned him to shit, and everybody's like, okay, I'm out. A lot of people were just like, like Joselito said, like people are just getting the issues in their, they're like, they still have it in their pull list just because they already have like the first 17 issues or whatever it is. So they're just like, you know what, I'll just finish it and just get it over with. But it's just like, at this point, it's like, why am I even still getting this? So yeah, it's I've heard nothing but bad things about that dark web. So it was a good thing it's ending, because people are just like, we need to move on to the next story, like, because this is just awful.
I just want to see how it ends at this point and see like how they wrap this up, because like also the X-Men forgave Madeline, the Goblin Queen, but at the same time, like, she opened portals from Limbo to New York, and like civilians died, and all is forgiven. Like, oopsies. Plus,
no one cares about collateral damage.
But also, like, in the very first issue of Dark Web, Madeline also converts Ben Reilly's girlfriend into some like mystical supervillain. So like, she literally corrupts her with magic. So are we gonna like forgive Madeline for like corrupting this woman's soul, making her into a new supervillain, and like killing civilians in New York as collateral damage because she got what she wanted from Jean Grey, which was her memories of the time that she spent raising baby Cable? Fuck out of here.
And that is how Jose feels about the Goblin Queen. And now to your regularly scheduled program.